As Fire Lieutenant Rene Hector Garza and firefighter David DeVoe crawled through the store with flashlights in hand, they spotted a foot, then an arm, then a body. Eventually, 4 bodies, burned, naked, bound with their own clothes, their legs spread, all shot in the head. When Detective Sergeant John Jones entered the flooded scene, the first thing he said was, "Holy shit." Whether by the force of the water or an act by the killers, at least 2 of the bodies were stacked on top of each other. All but 1 were burned beyond recognition. Not even their race was obvious. Many claim that Austin lost its innocence that day. In fact, the crime was so outrageous that all of the victims' autopsy reports were sealed, something that rarely occurred in Travis County. One of the things the autopsies showed was that the youngest, Amy Ayers, the only victim whose body wasn't burned beyond recognition, had been sexually assaulted. That was probably no surprise to investigators since an ice cream scoop had been found between the legs of one of the bodies. 8 days after the murders, police interviewed 16-year-old Maurice Pierce, who had been hanging out that Friday night at the very same mall as Amy and Sarah and was picked up for carrying a .22 caliber handgun, the same caliber as one of 2 guns used in the crime. Pierce told police that 15-year-old Forrest Wellborn had borrowed his gun and had killed the girls. Wellborn claimed he didn't know a thing about the murders. He and Pierce, along with Michael Scott and Robert Springsteen, both 17, had taken a stolen car to San Antonio that night. Jones believed the 4 didn't commit the crime. Eventually, the billboard went up alongside I-35 and he was moved off the case. Then, on October 6, 1999, nearly 8 years after the crime, Pierce, Wellborn, Scott, and Springsteen were arrested and charged with capital murder. Scott and Springsteen had confessed to the murders under rugged interrogation by Detective Hector Polanco, an officer who was later removed from the case after allegations he coerced a confession in a different case. Austin was in total fear for 10 years or so before the 4 defendants were arrested. A local attorney, speaking on condition of anonymity due to not being able to officially comment on the matter, emailed me. "I'm not arguing that those guys were railroaded. I am saying that the public needed the case solved, like a tidy Law Order TV episode, because the chaos of the crime terrified them." Indeed, Scott was questioned for 12 hours on September 9, 1999, questioned again the next day, and questioned again on September 13, 1999, resulting in 20 hours of videotaped interrogation. In June of 2000, after 2 grand juries refused to indict Wellborn, charges against him were dropped. 1 year later, Springsteen, who had confessed to raping Ayers, was convicted of capital murder and sentenced to death.